all, my name is Varun and I'm the host for the startup show presented by Amplis. In today's episode, we are going to discuss about few things about business strategy, customer retention, customer acquisition, and also about brand awareness. It's really important that for early stage startups and startups who are struggling to find their customer acquisition strategy or to evaluate the product market fit, it's really important to get the best outcome based strategies for your startup. And for today's discussion, we have a special guest who has more than 8 years plus experience in business strategy and has been worked with more than 50 plus clients across the globe. Her name is Sushmitha Jain and she's a LinkedIn influencer. At the same time, she has been working with business strategy and on personal branding as well as a lot more things. So we have her on this show for this video podcasting for today's episode, and stay tuned to hear more about business strategies as well as personal branding. So keep watching the startup show. Thank you, Sushmitha. So thank you so much for being part of this podcast show. I know it's been very long. We were like, keep on updating, but still we couldn't get in touch. But thankfully, we got her finally on this podcast show. I'm so appreciate for joining the show right now.
And thank you for inviting me here and looking forward to this amazing conversation as well. So thank you for inviting me.
It's just a starting. So let's directly get into the questions which I have already for her in my mind. So who is Sushmitha Jain, and why, how, and where did it start from?
So where did it start from and why? There's actually an interesting story behind it. So like we say, in India, it's like most of the engineers do transition to actually do something else in their careers. And I am exactly one example from that category because like we have, engineers are actors and, they are actually part of a lot of professions. They do MBA and stuff like that. So I'm also someone like that. And after I even got my first job and I was like literally working at a research institute and my first thesis released, which was me researching breast cancer and blood cancer. And we were actually working on those. When my first thesis released, I did literally drop a bomb on my parents and I was like, okay, this is going great, but I don't actually feel the connection anymore. So I would rather do something else and go back to square one. So that's how it all started. I started as a freelance marketer initially, and this is like 8 years prior from now. They're still mad about it. They're still crazy about it when it comes to me. It's like all the different lessons that I've been learning over the past 8 years, as well as the 4 years of the engineering journey as well, has had an influence in some way, which is how it should be.
So why business strategist? There was a lot of other things to work on. So why did you choose to be a business strategist?
Okay, that's like a really interesting question because I wanted to start my own business. In my research institute, we had a lot of access to the internet. We had our own laptops and stuff like that. Everyone in the lab facility who is working with me would read research papers. But what I would research on would be how to start a business, how to set it up, how to strategize it, how to grow it further, how to market it. So my curiosity is more into this. I could utilize my passion, my energy, my urge, and my vision to actually create something based on what I have. And this actually does relate to, have you heard of the book, Everything is Figure Outable? I'm actually reading it right now, but I can see how I had that mindset in me like 8 years prior from now. Because all I focused on was understanding the resources I have and how I could utilize them to figure things out and set my business up. So back then, I started understanding what are the different aspects as to, when it comes to running a business, starting a business. So first I started understanding marketing because I was like, advertising is great, but advertising needs budget. Marketing can be organic, marketing can be inorganic where, there's a different budget for it as well. So I started focusing on this. And that's the reason why when I started as a freelance marketer, and that too, I got that based on a referral. In fact, the stepping stone to my journey in the industry was and has always been based on referrals. Like the initial 6 years of my business, all clients came through referrals. I never had to market myself out. I never had to advertise myself out. It was all based on my work and the work results that I was getting, that people were literally sharing that, okay, we have this amazing person who we are working with. She's getting us results. If you're not getting results, you have like literally not happy with what you're doing right now, how your business is doing, have a conversation with her and she's going to help you out. Like she's that amazing. That's how my initial 6 years of business has grown, has scaled, and literally helped me become who I am as well.
Okay, so basically, I think referral, like we were speaking about referrals. So initially, the referrals were getting more attention. So mostly it was inbound. So talking about that, so like, how do you qualify your clients for your business?
When I did start up, because, like 8 years prior from now, when I started, everyone around me was being like, I've done the dumbest mistake in my life and I'm going to regret that. So I wanted to prove that I have taken the right decision and I am someone who can actually, start a business, run a business, get amazing results. So initially, like the initial 1 or 2 years with my business when I was running it, I never actually qualified clients. So even though I had a lot of clients, what I was doing was I was focusing and I was looking forward to offer marketing, but I had people who were literally, coming to me for sales. I was literally even like heading the HR department for some of the businesses I was working on. But then it did bring in a lot of experience, but it also did bring in a lot of stress, burnout, and stuff like that. So how I started literally qualifying clients was looking forward to focus on one thing. What is it that I do want to focus on? And what is it that I do really want to work on? So it was more about, what I do feel more content about. And that's how I started qualifying. So initially, I started qualifying based on who I want to work with. Now, I do qualify it based on even more for the specifics, as in I look forward to if they're working with me, they have their back end set up. They're not actually, like literally just, getting a lot of depth so that they could start working with me and stuff like that. Because our integrity, our ethics do matter as well, because sometimes people are like, no, we'll just go ahead with it. But then there's a lot of pressure which does come with that. And then that affects the work as well, the results as well. So you don't want that energy in. You want specific kind of energy, vibe, the mindset, a person has. So I make sure I do try and understand how they are when it comes to their mindset, their values, if they do truly believe in me. Because I've had instances where, because of my age, like when I started, I was like literally 22, 23 years old. Like I was in between. I was not even like exactly there. So there were a lot of people who had their egos in, wherein it is more like, how could someone who is that young tell us how we could strategize our business or how we could actually run our marketing or strategize our marketing? And then as I like literally went years and years ahead, when I started expanding my business from India to work with global clients, I've even had challenges where people were like, you are from India. You are not someone who's from US, So my, my background has also been in some way a reason why people sometimes did not even choose to work with me. But then I am happy that my background has made me who I am, because I can understand diversity. I can understand human behavior and human psychology this much, because we have different people and we can literally understand and relate with them. And that's how we are here. I don't think people do understand that, how my background is one of my strongest points because I'm someone who has studied psychology, not as a qualification, but just because I was curious about it. And I don't just do it for the business purpose. I do even look forward to utilize that on my daily, day-to-day basis, which helps me understand people much more. So it has always been an interesting journey when it comes to qualifying clients, because even when I am looking forward to work with someone, I will always have a call with them prior.
Yeah.
I will literally analyze that person in those 30 minutes.
What
And
all
if that
metrics do you
person,
analyze of a client? Like if you consider, so
like,
what all things do
yeah,
you,
sure.
what are things you
So like
consider?
I said, I
Yeah.
do first. So what I first do is, even before we schedule a call,
Uh-huh.
they have to fill in a questionnaire. That's
Okay.
the most important thing. They cannot even book a call with me without filling in that questionnaire, which has basic questions. So
Uh-huh.
if you do literally look at them, it would be basic questions, but there are basic psychological triggers hidden in it based
Uh-huh.
on how they reply with the tone of language they would use. I would get to know in which stage of their business they are. And there is one specific question which would even ask them about at which stage of their business they are as well, because I look forward to see how open they are about sharing things as well. Once
Okay.
I do that, and there's one more thing. So when you're writing stuff, you can filter things out. But when you are on the call,
Uh,
you might try and filter things out from your face, but your body language would say a lot. So
yeah.
that also tells me a lot about the person. So I make sure I do focus on, how they are interacting with me, how maybe things
How much
are
interest they
triggering them
have?
as a person. Yes. So all of these things overall, I would literally analyze them, and then based on that, I do qualify them whether we would work like together or not. If they're not a right fit, I won't just leave them because they do deserve to actually, grow their business. But then what I do is I do refer them to someone else who I believe would be able to help them out much better at the stage where they are right now. And if they are someone maybe 1 year or 2 years down the line, I think they would be a fit to start working with me, then I do tell them. So right now, work with this person if you are okay with, because this is the person who could help you the best. And
Uh-huh.
then come back to me, like say 1 or 2 years down the line, because I see you going in this direction right now and working on these things and so on and so forth. So even though it has been, something where people think that it's like sometimes, my like friends who are working with me from this
Yeah.
same industry do say, you give them a lot of value still. But then
Uh-huh.
what matters is you giving them that value because they did trust in you, right? They did trust you. That's the reason why they did come to you for the first place. So you help them out at least that much so that you could give them a vision which they could work on, and then maybe when it's the right time, they could come back to you and you could start working together. Even these things, small pointers like these, do get me referrals because they know I'm someone who they could like literally send more people to. And if it's not right, I'm not just gonna take the money and just be happy with my bank balance, but I'm someone who's literally going to focus on how it's going to help them in their business and work on those aspects more than just me building my bank balance, which is something which is more important to me, because the more you feel content from your heart, the more you're going to work and the more amazing results you're going to get for your client. And that, when people start understanding this, when it comes to their business, it's a long term journey. It's not short term anymore. You don't have to think where my next client is going to come from, because you're doing the right things, which are placing right things in the place so that more people would always come back to you. And that is something which I want, like literally, I want people to start understanding more and more. And I look forward to even educate them around these as well in the coming time from now on as well. So yeah,
So,
and I do speak a lot.
no, we have something in common. So yeah, so it's all about when you're talking something which you can completely relate, you just keep on talking about it, and these things often happen because that much dedication you're putting into that self. So obviously the
Yeah.
conversation goes on. So what actually interests me is when you said that you focus more on customers experience than what you're looking for. So that's the most important, like when you consider you work with any startup, or if you are a product also, you have to first put your customers first. And
That's what I do focus on, even when it comes to working with my clients.
Yes.
The number one thing I want them to focus on is the customer
Yes.
experience. The more they focus on the experience, the more their brand loyalty is
Yes.
gonna like literally skyrocket. And once that happens, obviously there's gonna be more customer retention. They're gonna have more brand ambassadors, and it's a domino effect. It's not a chain reaction, it's a domino effect. Because the thing with a chain reaction is a chain reaction can be crazy and it can explode in any direction.
Yes.
But why I say domino effect is because just like ripples in water, you need to be precise for a domino to work. If
Okay.
there's one misplacement or even if one domino from the entire set is
No.
missing, the reaction is going to stop. And that's what needs to be worked on, to have all the amazing pieces at the right place so that they are literally going to trigger each other to get the reaction working in their direction
Mhm.
based on the aim or results they have in their mind. So, yeah.
Okay. So, as we spoke about the channels, what particular channel your clients choose to reach out to you? Like, is there any specific channels like LinkedIn or Gmail? So, which is the best source they come and reach out to you for consulting their startup?
So until now, it has been more via LinkedIn and Facebook because, like, for the past 2 years, I was not actually, focusing on setting up my funnel and, literally being more present via other like platforms like, having my blog or, literally attracting more traffic via other sources and stuff like that, which I'm working on right now because the last 1 or 2 years, what I was doing was I was literally analyzing what I have literally worked on in the past over years. And
Mhm.
I came up with my own system because we always do things and they always have a certain, what do we say, a certain like, um, this, there's a specific word which I literally cannot like remember right now. So there's a certain, what do we say, a basic formula which we do follow unintentionally. So it's
Okay.
like there are hidden links which we do leave
Uh-huh.
back, but then we do not realize we have been working on the same thing in specific personalizations for different clients. So that's what I
Okay.
did. I went back, I analyzed which client I worked with, in what way, how we did get those results. I literally did work on my own case studies and I came up with my own system. And
Mhm.
that is something which I'm looking forward to educate more people around. Like right now, I like by this month's end, I'm even gonna release a freebie, which is gonna be an ebook, which would give them an idea as to what the exact system is and how they can implement it if they want
Okay.
to grow their brand loyalty and customer retention. It has an overview of that system and it's going to release by this month's end indeed. So, yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. I would be really happy to launch from my end as well because our audience would like to see that ebook on how to work on the brand awareness and brand loyalty because it's really important.
Yes.
If you think like so, just one question I thought of when you spoke about brand awareness and brand loyalty. So, how do you help startups on their growth and brand awareness issue?
So one thing which I think startups do not realize is, and I see this a lot, this comes to me even from like we say investor end, like when I'm actually in conversation with, investors,
Yeah.
incubators as to how we could work with the businesses they are investing in to grow them, scale them up. They're like, startups do not need brand loyalty. And I'm like, that's really a myth because the early you start and the early you have systems in right place, the
Yes.
early they're gonna give you results. The more you're
Yeah.
gonna wait, the more late results you're gonna get. Because what matters is having the right systems in place, having the right processes in place, right from the initial time phase to build your
Yeah.
brand awareness in such a way that it would initiate and trigger brand loyalty. So there are any which
Okay.
ways working on brand awareness. All they have to do is literally go a bit deep than just rather working on the surface level, because this is the thing. There's a lot of value, there's a lot of knowledge which has been shared and is always available. At today's time, we cannot say there's no knowledge available or people need to pay for knowledge. You can go on Google, you'll get a lot of stuff, but 99.99% it is all surface level. I want everyone to start diving deep right from the beginning, because when you start doing that, that is something which is gonna give the pure, true value to not just your user base, but also your audience. People focus on only ideal clients. I want them to start focusing on both ideal client as well as ideal audience. Why I do say that is because, like I said, I have a lot of people who are following me. Like my audience base is 40K plus, but I have worked with 100 plus businesses. Now, there's a lot of difference between the two, the number. But the point here is what matters is that I have people who are referring back people to me because they see the value in what I'm sharing, and that's the reason why they can refer back people to me. So your ideal audience are the people who believe in you, who see you as the person who you are, and your ideal clients are the people who you want to work with. So these are different categories and different aspects of an entire ecosystem, which I do focus and I do work on. And I can literally talk about it a lot, but these are different things which people need to start understanding and start focusing on, because the more they do, the more returns they're definitely going to get. So if you're a startup, start from right now. Don't wait for like 1 or 2 years to reach a certain phase and then start focusing on brand loyalty. Why not from day one? Because brand awareness, you're any which ways working on right now. You're not waiting for like 2 years to actually start your brand awareness and getting your word out, your message out. So now
that
is
actually
the
gives
time.
you exactly, so that actually gives a lot of diversity ideas like comes in the mind. Like if you are starting with a product or a service based company or anything, if you're working closely with the customers or the future customers in the initial state, and if you're taking your brand together with that, I think that's a very value added point you have mentioned. So this actually helps to understand like where our product is moving, or how can we increase the follower base, or how can we give them what they're asking for, what benefits or what offers
Exactly.
we can
The
get in
more
that.
people, the more people businesses are going to invest in understanding, the
Yes.
more their services are actually going to deliver they're supposed to, than literally just being on the surface level. And then it's one thing people do not realize.
Okay.
All they're focused on is converting new customers. But the point is, you're converting your competitors' customers, but what about the customers you have already? They are going to your competitors. So
Yeah.
what you need to do is keep those who you have,
Uh,
plus convert more, or look forward to have more people joining in and working with you. And that can be done via a lot of ways. It's not just about just being best in the industry. It's also about the amazing connection you have with the people. And that's the reason why you think you're best. No one is best. Everyone is best from their end, but it is the perception that the person has about the brand which
yes.
makes them the best. So that's how it is. Yep.
So right now, so I after speaking about brand awareness and all, like I have also noticed that you're pretty much active in LinkedIn and other social media channels, and it has specifically, you have mentioned about customer retention. So how do you help startups in their customer retention to an evangelist strategist? What are the strategies do you implement when you work with
So
startups?
what I've done is I've come up, like I did mention, with a system of my own,
Yeah.
and I like simplifying things, because
Okay.
what matters is there are going to be a lot of people who are going to come and give like really complicated strategies and structures, and then
Mhm.
they are going to be like, oh my god, you need to work on this and work on that. But what matters is people, and I'm just gonna say a word which some people might not like, but people who fuck up with simple things. Let me know if you do agree, right? So that's the reason why the system which I've come up with, when you look at it, it is a really simple one. But when you are looking forward to work on it, it
Okay.
has a lot many different levels and depths as to how a business would literally look forward to implement on it. Even when it comes to the entire system, I implement it on different stages at different levels with different businesses, with different industries. So
Okay.
imagine how it can be adapted, and it's a dynamic process basically. It's a
Okay.
dynamic version because that's only when it's not a blueprint, because I hate them. A blueprint is like typically step by step procedure. It's not like that. It's more like the flow which would come in and just blend in with how the business would run. So that's how it is. So yeah.
Okay. So, what all strategies for you, like from the past experience into business strategies, what have failed and what worked you the most?
So what failed? I would
Yeah.
definitely tell you one thing.
Yeah.
So initially, when I started, there were a lot of businesses who always wanted me to, literally just go and boost their results with stuff like ads, which is
Yeah.
great. And the one thing which I see happening a lot in the industry as well, even right now, is the people, like literally people start running ads the moment they decide they're gonna get started with something. But
Mhm.
make one thing sure, guys. If you truly want to grow, you would require organic reach as well. So
Yes.
don't focus on ads,
Uh-huh.
make it a couple method. I mean, I call it my couple method, where it's more about utilizing the organic and inorganic reach and
Okay.
combining them together to build the brand awareness, which would not be restricted in any way or in any format. So that's one mistake which I always think people do make. They would just rely on one thing. It's parallel, it's like basically it's two tracks where the train would be running on, but they focus on just one track and they think that's going to be the only track which is going to drive them results.
Uh-huh.
Only organic reach will only work for some time. You need to
Mhm.
scale it up with ads. And
Yeah.
only ads are not going to work because you need to build that connection with those who are already a part of your audience and bring them in the conversation with new people joining in. It's not about us, it's not about our brand, it's about the people who are connected. So we need to be the connection dot, but we need to also make sure other nodes, which are other people from our community, are connected with each other, and that's how they're going to stay. They're not going to be there just for us, they're going to be there for us, as well as those amazing connections
Mhm.
they did make via being present in the presence of these amazing souls who are connected with that certain brand as well. Like, look at Apple users, you know,
Yeah.
they're so much connected with each other. Look at Royal Enfield users. Then it's not just about Royal Enfield. They do
Yeah.
like literally love each other, respect each other. They go on trips together. Same goes with Harley
Okay.
Davidson as well. Harley Davidson
Yes.
basically is a cult, to be really true. It's
Yeah.
more literally pure cult, and that's how it has
Correct.
been perceived for years.
Has
That
good also.
cannot be done by just
Mm.
Harley Davidson being the like basic person who's in spotlight, or the brand which is in spotlight, which we are focusing on. The
Yes.
spotlight here is on the audience base or on the community, and that's the reason why more and more people want to be part of that. I mean, the term cult has a negative connotation to it, but
Yeah.
yet people want to be part of it
Part
because
of it.
it's more about being part of that community than the negative connotation which is associated with the term cult,
Yeah.
cult and stuff like that. So think about it, guys. Definitely think about it. I'm
And
sure you should.
And that's why I think community building is always very important when you consider building any kind of product or service
Yep.
base. And that's what we are growing towards right now. And
Yep.
nowadays I think many startups actually lack in community building, and much more they're focusing on the product and the user experience, which is good. But at the
I'll,
same time, it's also really important to build the community from the scratch. Yeah.
I'll tell
Am
you
I,
something here. I would like
yeah.
to say something here, which is, so
Sure.
I'm someone who loves to, like literally keep a track of what's happening in the industry as to what and who is doing or working on which ways and which strategies based on even from my industry. So when I'm a community strategist, when I'm a customer retention strategist, when I'm a business strategist, I do keep a track of what other people are doing as well. And I see
Yeah.
one thing. People, firstly, we are human beings. We love complicating everything. That's the reason why my strategies are
Yes.
simple, because I want them to be simple and understandable and easy to work on, so that the first amazing point which people do raise, oh, this is too overwhelming, I won't be able to work on it, gets
Mm-hmm.
literally ticked off the list. It's a big no-no. I do not like complications at all.
Okay.
Similarly, I see more businesses turning away. Customer strategy and community building is the amazing buzzword which everyone's using, but
Yes.
everyone is complicating it as well.
Yes.
Small Facebook group can be a community if all you do is invest in it from your heart and from your soul and make sure it resonates with your brand. Simple as that. Or if you have a budget and your audience is as much loyal as they would actually come on a different platform and look forward to be part of your community at a totally different, amazing platform which you have discovered and would love to invest and be part of it and build your community there, they would come there as well. It's all about, like I said, understand your resources, understand how much time you could invest in, and understand how you could make sure you could build those connections in, and community building can be worked on. A Facebook group can be a community. Forget groups.
Yeah.
Just your Facebook profile, your LinkedIn profile, they are also your community because they are coming back to you for a reason. So stop complicating it, rather focus on just being the best from your end, but not doing it for the sake of it, but also being strategic about it. Because yes, do not be mechanical, but make sure you're being strategic because you are here to do business as well. So do not forget that too, because sometimes people, in the name of being, amazing people, in the name of being, amazing souls offering services, do forget one important part, which is you're here to run a business. You're not here to run a charity. So make sure you do keep that in mind as well as a business owner. Both things, I'm not saying it needs to be in equilibrium, but there needs to be, even if it's an off balance, there needs to
Yeah.
be in balance in it. Balance is what matters.
Okay, and that's a very valid point you said. Like, even if a small community or Facebook group also uh, brings a lot of impact, unless you give something valuable to your own audiences, because at the end they will consider looking into the value or and become be persistent. And talking about
Exactly.
persistence and consistency, I think there is something really we want to discuss about, Susmita. So we have been, like I initially discussed, we reached out, we found out from LinkedIn. So it's like a Tinder for us right now. I mean, everyone is in LinkedIn everywhere. So Sushmitha has been really doing an amazing job in LinkedIn, and I am also keep on looking in her every single post she has. Everything has a value, or everything has a story to convey at the end, and that's a really beautiful to see it. So the question for you, Susmita, is how do you do it, and what are the necessary steps to be a person like you, or what other hacks do you find in LinkedIn is really adding value to find you the best customers or best clients for your business?
So I think I'm gonna answer this in a way where it's like, so firstly, here I would like to introduce these systems or these steps,
Mm,
just, an overview of what my system is.
mm,
So it has just 4 points in it, which is grow, engage,
mm,
monetize, and retain. Simple. There's no complication at all. So these are the like major 4 steps when it comes to my system, which I call the gem R system, which I have created. Now, why do
okay.
I do mention this here is, how do I convey a story, right? Now, one mistake which I see people do a lot on social media is, it's all about them. I
Mm,
as a brand, I do this, I do that, so on
okay.
and so forth. And you said I do convey a story. So what I'm doing is, I'm actually picking up things which you did mention about me, and also at the same time I'm reflecting back on them, because this also in some way does help me understand how I have been perceived by
Mm,
other people as well. So it is something which I do always look forward to understand, how I'm being perceived. So
okay.
the reason why I do make sure that I do always convey a story, there's a reason behind that. Have you ever realized, right from our childhood, we've been told stories and we love them? Like, as kids, that's something which is very important to us, a bedtime story, because
Yeah.
every single day there would be something new which we would be learning. Then, as we move
Okay.
further, when we are literally studying, we still are introduced to stories, and then
Okay.
as we move further on our journey, our life lessons are our stories, right? Now,
Yes.
every
Yes.
story, when we do share it out, it evokes
Uh-huh.
emotions, right? Now,
Yes.
a call to action would only trigger one time action, right?
Uh-huh.
But when there's an emotion being triggered, it's gonna trigger a continuous action. And that is what I do focus on. Because when you're looking forward to just grow, all you have to do is just make sure you're sharing content which would
Yeah.
have you as the center of attention. But if you're looking
Okay.
forward to bring them back in, which is retain them in, you want them to trigger some emotions, and then they would look forward to those emotions being triggered by the content or the value you're sharing, and they will keep on coming back to it, because now it's not just part
Back
of what
again.
I'm sharing, but it's part of my journey. Because what I do share on social media is in some way or the other a part of my experiences, a part of my journey, and I even look forward to take it to a certain extent where it's strategic. Like I said, everything what I do is strategic,
Yeah.
but it has heart and soul to it, which makes the difference. And that's what I look forward to do more. So even I still think I'm not sharing more aspects of my journey. Like, I
Uh-huh.
do talk about a lot about my work, but I do not talk about more me as a person, who I am, what do I like as a person, which book am I reading, why am I reading that book, which movie I did watch. These are things which I'm not sharing. And if I can be more strategic, where I could even tie more of these things, I do have a visuals of them when I do
Uh,
share, okay, this book taught me that, which brought me to this strategy. It's still related to my work, but I would look forward to add in more aspects which lets them connect more with me emotionally as well. So it's a process. The more you go in it in depth, the more
mhm.
you're gonna actually express yourself more. So I'm
Okay.
someone who is good, but I always say one thing: you cannot be the best, because there are gonna
Yes.
be more things about your life, your journey, and the experiences you're having, which you wanna keep on sharing. There's a lot
Mhm.
more to share, and there are a lot more opportunities which you want to create, so you
Yeah.
could keep on sharing them as well. So That's how it is.
Okay.
It's all about understanding that.
So that's the best value added giveaway. I mean, not just comparing with the other, but it is something which people also would like to try it out by their own. And I think maybe considering the reach or considering the views for each and every post you have, I think you can also start writing a a content strategy or a article on how did you gain it. Even that is also going to be something really amazing for people to read about or try it out. And I hopefully looking for that. She will be also going ahead and writing an article on that for us maybe. So
Yeah,
because we would all like to know like how do it works in every aspects. And that was really amazing, Sushmitha, for sharing your wonderful experience. So just this the last question I just want to ask you for this 2020 and for the coming months, for the coming 6 to 9 months, what are the milestones you have jotted down and how are you going to implement it?
so first and foremost, the milestone which I have for myself is to actually start focusing on, not because I have been really guilty of this over the years. Like I said, so first 6 years of my business, I never marketed my business out. Imagine if I would have done that, how different my journey would be from where it is right
Yes,
now. Because I only
exactly.
focused on my clients, and I've always been guilty of that. I've become so blindfolded on just because for me, the customer is what matters. So sometimes I am guilty of neglecting my business, my brand. So my focus right now is, and even the past year, it has been to set up my own system. So that's the reason why I'm actually releasing my own freebie. I'm looking forward to start my blog because, like you said, I do share a lot of things, but there are things which need to be shared in depth. So then I'm looking
Yes.
forward to, write my own blogs. I'm looking forward to even not just be on a written content platform, but also be on YouTube. I look forward to be
Yes.
on more stages because the thing is, for the past 4 years, 5 years, I've been only working with businesses globally. So I have been working right from Mumbai with businesses like Buffer. I mean, they are a big brand. I've been working with amazing brand strategists. I've been working with different amazing startups, e-commerce businesses. I've been working with IT businesses and so on and so forth. It's a wide industry that I have been part of, but I've not been known in the Indian market. And I look forward to change that because what I see is there's a huge gap between how we implement things in global market and how things are implemented and being worked on in the Indian market. And I look forward to change that. I look forward to introduce and share all the amazing work that I have been doing with all of these amazing brands and start implementing them because it's all about what I have basically tried and tested with these n number of brands. And I look forward to start sharing them here so that we have those amazing results here as well. Because yes, there are amazing businesses here and they deserve to get much, much, much better results
Much
than what they are getting right now. So
response.
these are things that I'm literally focusing on more in 2020 and look forward to invest more in it as well. So yeah.
Thanks. Thank you a lot, Sushmitha. That was a really amazing conversation about brand strategies, about business strategists, even about the channels which worked for you the best, and including especially like for all the best for the milestones for 2020. Because I think you might be feeling very stupid. Or why didn't you actually work on your brand awareness for the last 6 years? And yes, this
Exactly.
is a high time, and you are gaining in a very amazing way as well. So I am completely honored, like I got an opportunity to interview you on this podcast. But this series never gets over. It keeps on coming up with something new stories every once in a month, or let's say after 6 months you might be tabletop, you will be somewhere another part of building something really interesting strategies. We
Yeah.
have a new story again. So this goes on again and again. I hope every audience loved what we are trying to do over here. We are trying to not just to shoot a video or shoot just a story. It's about a story of a person who starts something from scratch and building it slowly by slowly to a place where they are recognized as a brand and they are recognized as a person. So wonderful. And that person is Miss Sushmitha Jain. Thank you so much. I really loved having this conversation. So we will be coming up with more activities in this coming future with webinars, activities, and all. I would just like to invite and take this opportunity to invite Sushmitha also for this for the webinar as well.
Invitation. Thank you.
And
Appreciate
we'll
it.
be,
And
exactly. So we'll be hearing a lot more from Sushmitha. I know the time was very limited, but I just wanted to make sure that you get all the time with webinar so that we can all attend all the attendees and we can make a virtual place for everyone. Okay.
yeah,
Thank you so much, Sushmitha.
thank you.
Thank you so much.
Where you